There's the pretty view of downtown Lethbridge. Pretty scene of downtown Lethbridge. Oh, I'm catching my echo in somebody's mic.
Yeah, that's me, man.
Oh, okay.
Oh, there we go.
Amateur hour.
Oh no, fuck.
All good.
Figured I got this shit down by now. Where's that a picture of?
That's across the street. That's my house here in Lethbridge. That's downtown Lethbridge. Little southern Alberta city, 120,000 people here. No.
I gotta get out to Lethbridge, man.
I mean, King Juss and Fresh Kills came through, did a show here. Mercules is playing here fairly soon. Like, you can do hip hop shows here. People will come out. But yeah. All right, so we're on screen. My mic is live. Welcome aboard, everybody. My name is Doobyis. This is Fly in Formation. Every week I do a mix show called After the Smoke is Clear with my homie DJ Dice. We play an hour worth of independent Canadian hip hop every week. And, you know, for Fly in Formation, I've been reaching out to artists across the country, trying to just tap in, learn more about those artists, their new projects, and kind of the scenes that they're from, right? Because if anybody knows the scenes, it's always the artists. So today, joining me, I've got 2/3 of the group Magick show. I've got Mickey O'Brien and Max Moon here with me. Welcome, guys. How you doing tonight?
Hail Satan.
Hail Satan, right on. Yeah, that's how we open a podcast about a horrorcore album that you guys have coming up, right? Fucking, would you call it horrorcore? Am I right calling it horrorcore?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Here, actually,
so.
to kick this off, though, can I get you guys something I like to do when I have multiple guests is to have the guests introduce each other. So I think you guys have known and worked with each other for quite a while. I mean, Mickey, I've talked to you a couple times on Fly in Formation. Do you mind starting this thing off by introducing me to Max Moon? Tell me kind of who he is, where you guys met and shit.
Yeah, my bro Max Moon. Let me tell you. Max is a really poetic MC. He reminds me of Buck 65 and Tom Waits. He's got a really unique style. Does lots of cool weirdo hip hop stuff. And I'm trying to remember the first time I met Max. Would have been I think either in the True Theories days. I remember Max sliding me a demo to kill the autocrat days outside the townhouse. But yeah, Max is just like, this is a group of like three of us who are like really good friends, man. So
nice. So like, how long ago? What kind of era are we talking about? You guys known each other for decades or like?
Probably close to 15, 20 years anyway, right?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Nice.
I think the True Theories days would have been like when I met you at shows and stuff.
Okay, so hold up, rewind. What's True Theories? Is that a crew?
True Theories was OB's original crew.
Okay.
A duo, I guess you could say, with other people involved. And at the time there wasn't a lot of hip hop, especially live, going on in Sudbury. So
right,
it was cool to see that. And I was like, I saw them doing their thing, and I was like, yo, I think like maybe I could do something, So
nice.
I was like singing in hardcore bands and punk bands at the time.
Okay. Since then, have you guys watched Sudbury's scene evolve? Is there more live hip hop going on now?
I think there's definitely more. Yeah, definitely more quantity wise for sure. There's a lot of different, a few different styles and a few different things going on. It's a little fragmented, but yeah, there's a lot of love across. Like, Sudbury is not the biggest scene, so we do get love across different scenes. Like, people, you know what I mean? It's not so genre focused all the time. So
yeah,
that's cool to see it from time to time too.
Nice. Yeah. So third member that's not here tonight, Johnny Business. Max, do you want to kind of give an intro for him, even though he's not actually here? Who's the third member?
Yeah, Johnny Business is, originally this was a duo on our first record, me and Mickey. And, but it just seemed natural after a while that we had to pull Johnny into it. So Johnny's been doing his thing for a long time in Sudbury. I started hearing about Johnny at the same time that I probably first met OB, and then eventually met Johnny. and he'd always come out. We'd always do these shows, live shows called Cage Call. He would always come out, and eventually, there's been different collaborations over the years, but when we decided to resurrect this project and get it going again, Johnny seemed like a perfect fit. He's got a real like boom bap kind of New York inspired flow, like definitely like sometimes reminiscent of Big Pun and Biggie and people like that. A lot of swing in his delivery.
Yeah, I can hear
that. So it just fit. They fit the grimy sort of rawness that we want to do with a lot of the Magic Show tracks. So
yeah, nice. So
yeah, Johnny's a real vet of the scene for sure, and he's come into his own as a producer too, doing a lot of beat making.
So you guys were each individually making music prior to Magic Show, then out on your own before coming together, right? That's what makes it a super group, I think, right? That's the definition of super group. I wanted to ask you guys what makes a super group.
I didn't say super group.
Somebody said super group, but I've read super group someplace. Yeah, somebody's bio said it. It might have been Thomas from Han Solo, maybe he wrote that up.
I could see myself writing that in a blurb.
Okay, yeah. The only other Canadian super group I can think of is Swamp Thing. They have a drop coming out at the end of the month too. And
we're playing.
They call themselves a super group. But
there you go. It'll be the two super groups.
I think when established solo acts come together, you form a super group, right?
Yeah. I mean, like Mickey and I both. Sorry, I don't want to talk all the time. Mickey, jump in. But we both have roots in the punk scene, folk music and all kinds of other stuff that we grew up around, and then eventually, like really for me, anyways, like wanted to put lyrics front and center. So hip hop came naturally, and I used to go by the name Silver Tongue. I did some stuff under that name, and I have some singles out under Max Moon and some collabs, but still working on a full length, which I'm taking my time on gladly. And I don't know, Mickey, tell them about what else you have a lot of stuff. You're pretty prolific.
Mickey's been busy lately too, right? Fresh back off world tour and fucking new EP out, solo EP as well. Postcards, right, Mickey?
Yeah, so I just dropped an EP called Postcards. I wrote a lot of it on the road. I was in Japan, Australia, across Canada twice. I was in Ireland, France, and the UK.
I mean, I feel like it counts as a world tour if you fly across like both of the different oceans in short succession like that. I'd call it a world tour, man.
I'm calling it a world tour too. Fuck it.
Yeah.
And it was just about I had to shed some parts of my past, say goodbye to some things, and I discovered a lot. You're traveling, man. Travel's the best education. I learned a lot about other places and a lot about myself. And I love the EP. It was me and Fresh Kills again, my brother. So we have a really tight formula on how we do things now. We always evolve it, but we got a really good formula going. Like, we can crank stuff out pretty quick if we needed to.
How long did you work on that for? I got the feeling that was probably a fairly quick project for you to maybe not necessarily write if you were out writing on tour, but to actually record and put together. It seems like it sprang up out of nowhere.
Yeah, it took the least amount of time, I think, maybe other than this Magic Show project, because I didn't have as much to do on it, right?
Right.
But yeah, I think the whole process of it was maybe about 4 months.
Yeah, nice. So just to switch back to the upcoming Magic Show album, it's called Samhain, right? Am I saying that right? I don't even know what that word is.
Actually, somebody
tell me what Samhain is.
It's pronounced Samhain.
Okay, there you go. Sure.
Yeah. And it's like the original Halloween in pagan tradition is called Samhain, right?
Okay. Cool. So is that Gaelic? Where's the original Halloween from?
Well, I think every culture must have their own little spin on it, right?
Yeah, okay. So there's like Day of the Dead or whatever, for sure.
Yeah, so this would be like the pagan.
He's right, though. It's Gaelic.
Yeah.
It's Gaelic?
Nailed it. Doobyis nailed it.
10 points.
Sounds Gaelic for sure.
Yeah. So, I mean, that makes sense. Do you listen to much horrorcore rap?
No.
So is this kind of like a thing you come to get, because you had a previous album as Magic Show as well in 2020. The Dark Night of the Soul, right? And it was an EP
Yeah.
as well. Was that a Halloween release then as well?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Okay, so is Magic Show, was the intent to be a Halloween drop every year, or like a real Halloween inspired group, or like how did you land here? How did we get here?
I just feel like it fit, Max. I don't know. You want to?
Yeah, well, I think like it was just like, yeah, it just seemed like a fun thing to do, and it wasn't like a flavor we were seeing a lot of in rap at that particular moment. And like, although like I'm not like like horrorcore goes deep, like there's a real scene,
For real.
and it gets like it gets pretty crazy. But like the records, like I have lots of records of Finite horrorcore that I love, but they're all like kind of like a little bit more than just horrorcore. You know, they're like multi-dimensional. Like Gravediggers, for example, would be the greatest example and probably one of our biggest influences.
Okay, yeah.
I think.
I was gonna say, like,
And,
horrorcore quickly lost me after Gravediggers. I was cool with that album. I liked that, you know.
Yeah.
Haven't really got into a ton of horrorcore beyond
But
that.
I think we're also inspired by things like the Misfits and like Kiss, you know, just like being theatrical and just like it's like one part like just theatrics and fun, and then it's one part like taunting, maybe like the far Christian right with like Satanist imagery.
Right.
And it's one part just
Satan,
like hard rap.
Okay.
And then it's one part like all like Obi has like a serious interest in a lot of these like pagan traditions. So it's like all these things kind of roll up into one fun Halloween project.
Okay.
And I really like it because it's like the coolest part about it is I don't like my normal records are like so fucking serious, right? Like I'm talking about my feelings and all like
typically pretty introspective and social commentary and shit. Yeah.
This is just about like saying satanic shit and killing motherfuckers and stuff. It's a lot of fun to write.
For real. Yeah. Mickey, is there any part ICP influence in this?
You know what?
I think it's Thomas saying Mickey loves ICP in chat right now.
I grew up in this era where like, I don't know, it was like that era with like Eminem and that where like, so I just like hated ICP and I never really even listened to them.
Fair.
Which is not fair on my part, but it was just the time. And
I think Eminem convinced a lot of us of that, man. Yeah.
I've definitely heard people put us in that category, and yeah, it's weird because none of us were really like ICP fans. But like, if Juggalos bum Magic Show, that's cool, man. We respect that.
Right on. Yeah, the more the merrier, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so I don't know, what can people expect then from this new album? This wasn't a Fresh Kills project, was it? This was, who did the beats on this?
So this is cool about this record. So there's three beats from Kills, and then Max has 2 beats, and Johnny's got 2 beats.
Oh, dope. Okay.
Right?
Yeah. We've dropped 2 singles so far. The first one was produced by Johnny. It was called Massacre. The second one was produced by myself called Morning Star, and there's also like I remixed it as well. It's the first time I ever remixed something.
Okay.
Which was fun, totally fun.
Like ever, or that you've remixed something that actually saw the light of day or whatever?
Yeah, that saw the light of day. Like I messed around.
Yeah, okay.
But
fucked around.
It's the first time I ever put out anything that was a remix, you know. So
cool.
That was cool, and I'm pretty happy with how that turned out. And I think it gives for definitely a variation. Like we have different styles for sure on production, but I think it comes together well and strung together by samples from like old horror radio dramas and stuff from the BBC, and which was a lot of fun to dig and put together. And I mean, it really is a perfect Halloween record. Like, I'm not gonna lie.
Dope. Do you think it takes it above where the last one was at? Because in your guys' Spotify bio, you talk about how originally Magic Show came together to, I don't know, make the ultimate horrorcore album or something along those lines, and they achieved that in 2020. It says, and I was like, okay, so if it was the ultimate horrorcore album, where do we go from there? Like now we're on the ultimate horrorcore album. Did you up yourselves?
I think it's a lot. Yeah, like in a different way. Like this record is like, you know, the production is a lot different on this record because, you know, with Johnny and Max coming through, it's a lot grittier. I feel like normally, especially like if I'm involved in the songwriting, we're usually like big on hooks and like big songs, and I kind of let that go for a lot of this project, and just let the homies do their thing. So we have like just scratch hooks on a lot of stuff, and
Uncle Fester, right? Came through to do
yeah,
scratches on it. Yeah.
shout out Fester, man,
How,
such a G.
how did that come together? Did you guys know each other prior, or like I saw he was in Toronto, and I assume that's when he did the cuts for your guys' album, right?
No, he did everything back in Halley.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, well, Fester did cuts on my first record, My Drift, right? And yeah, with the Kills connection, right? Plus the
Okay.
traveling, like
Sure.
Han Solo,
Yeah.
Halifax go hand in hand.
Yeah, you've been doing shows out on the East Coast too, or whatever. So I assumed that you probably had run into him out there.
Yeah, and we also brought Extremities through back in the day. Probably one of their last shows together.
It was their last show.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that was, I think, where that where we met, anyways, and like physically.
Yeah.
But yeah, he did scratches on my stuff back in the day too as Silver Tongue. So he's like the scratch god if you need some stuff done.
Real. Yeah, dude doesn't fuck around. They always sound good. Anytime I hear him on people's scratch choruses. What was the actual recording process for the album like? Did you guys get in like any group sessions, or was it a bunch of kind of home recording, sending files to somebody?
No, we actually got in group sessions for this.
Nice.
And you know, it was so hard to get three of us in the same room at once. So like it was a very big process getting, we all have like busy lives. I'm on tour. Max has 3 kids. Johnny works like stupid hours. So, but it was so much fun when we got in there. I think we had 2 full studio sessions. That's it for this record, eh?
I think maybe there was like a couple others where we were not all together, where we were finishing stuff up, maybe, or like periods before that. But yeah, that part went really fast. I think some of the writing happened in isolation, then some of it got tweaked as we came together and started to put things together, and yeah, the finishing touches and all that.
Nope.
That happened. Yeah, it came together pretty quick, and I think it kind of adds to the energy too. Like there's a spontaneity to the whole thing.
Yeah, well, 2 sessions. That's there's going to be how many tracks on the album? How many tracks in 2 sessions?
6. There's 6.
Well, plus an instrumental. So yeah.
Okay, so was everything written before you guys got in studio to record? Then you must.
Yeah, so we did like it's a little bit different. Like some of the stuff was like here's the beats that we picked all the beats, and then for the switch hit stuff, like it was just like write a bunch of little 2 or 4 bar things, right?
Right.
And then we just spit them all, and then Johnny put them all together after. Shout out to him. He did a lot of work on this record.
Of just stitching together 4 bars from all of you, really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah,
so
we
when you
probably
were
had
writing
like
them,
hours of that stuff like recorded.
that's wild.
Maybe not hours. Well, cumulatively, maybe hours.
Yeah.
Or an hour.
Wild. I was talking to B1 the architect last week, and he was talking about how he just did like a posse cut with guys from across the country where they were like doing 4 bars back and forth, and then 2 bars back and forth. And he said they had like a Google file, like Google Drive file open so that everybody could write their bars in there or whatever, so that they'd like know what they were rhyming off of. You guys were just doing 4 bars of whatever you wanted to say, and then Johnny stitched it all together. That sounds crazy. Okay.
Yeah.
So, just come up with some horrorcore shit, or like, how can you? How does that work? How does that come together as a cohesive song?
I don't know, but it worked, man. Just say some really twisted, messed up shit, and then he puts it all together.
That's dope, man. So the last one was an EP. This one's an EP. I wanted to ask, like, is a full-length album of horrorcore too much? Will there ever be a full-length from Magick Show, or like, is EP format on Halloween kind of what people should expect from Magick Show in the future as a group?
I find EPs are just easier in general, right?
Yeah.
I love the EP as a listening format and as a format to make. I really do. I'm a fan. I would never rule out a full length. Like I think we could certainly do it. I think like every record is gonna have its own angle, like sonically and like conceptually. I don't think we're gonna be like always doing like straight horrorcore. And well, I mean, I wouldn't say, I would say we're not always doing that, but
Yeah.
yeah. So I think that's what you might see in the future, perhaps.
Okay. So would you say that this upcoming album isn't straight horrorcore then? Like, how would you describe the sound?
I think like it's definitely in there,
Yeah.
like especially Mickey's coming with a lot of that murder shit. And but me, like I'm kind of like in some ways, some of my bars are dealing with like the fucking horrors of my own mind and shit like that. And then like Johnny's just coming with some straight rap shit, like it's like a it's like Wu-Tang. It's like an obvious metaphor, but it's like just sounds fucking ill.
Okay.
So I mean, that's kind of how I would have summed up like our. Although we all dip in and out of those things, like those are kind of our lanes, and they complement and contrast each other on the record, I think, which makes for an interesting kind of listening experience, I think.
Real.
I'd hope.
Have either of you guys heard Johnny Business's upcoming album? He told me first week of November. He didn't specify a date, but he told me first week in November he's got a project called, I think it was Northern Fried Soul Food, coming out. Have either of you guys heard any of that?
I haven't heard anything, or maybe I have. Maybe I have live, but I haven't really he hasn't really sent me much. I know he's got a project with Kills he's working on too.
Okay.
Yeah, like same. He's kind of mysterious about it. Like he hasn't shown me anything and said this is for Northern Fried Soul Food, but he's showing me a lot of stuff. So I'm curious
what'll be there,
as to what's going to be on there.
Okay.
But you can definitely expect some like gritty boom bap that's like rooted in downtown Sudbury, like
yeah.
Yeah,
I played Northern Fried Ramen on last week's at Sick because it had been sitting around in the vault for a while since he dropped his last solo project or whatever. But yeah, dude can definitely rap his ass off. I'm here for it.
Yeah.
Are you guys huge horror fans, like of horror movies?
Yeah, I'm like a fan of like the cream of the crop, like the good shit. Like,
okay.
I'm not really like low budget horror is a whole scene that a lot of people are into. Like I'm not hip to it.
Yeah.
But
it goes deep for people who are really into it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm a huge American Horror Story fan.
Okay. Yeah. What's that, an AMC show or whatever? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've seen, I think, a season or two of it, but I don't know. I'm going to be honest, guys. I don't like fucking scaring myself. I don't like watching gore on TV. Like, I don't know. I'm just like, it's never really clicked for me what the draw is for people. So I went into this interview like, okay, well, I've got some questions. Maybe they can fucking explain this to me, because I try to stay open-minded to everything and all the different lanes or whatever. And like I said, like, I liked Gravediggers or whatever. It just... if I'm being completely honest, and I'm going to be completely honest, because fuck it, it just feels a little bit done to death to me. The like crazy murderer rhymes.
Yeah.
Do you think there's a fresh way to do it? Like, does it feel fresh doing it?
I feel like it does, man. Like, I especially like, if you listen to a lot of my music, because it's something you're not really going to expect from me, right?
From you. Yeah, for sure. Okay.
So, and like, there's definitely this like Beastie Boys meets Wu-Tang kind of sound that we're coming with, right? So
definitely. Yeah, word.
And I also think like when he goes there, especially Mickey, it's definitely Mickey's influence, but we all want to go there, especially on the first record too. Like, it's not just like dead body disposal, no disrespect to like Necro or whatever, but it's like this black cloaks and like ritual magic. Like, Mickey knows a lot about this like Aleister Crowley type stuff.
Okay,
like,
so a little bit more occult references and shit.
So it makes it a little more theatrical, I think, and less just gore fest.
Yeah.
So that makes it kind of fun,
I like that.
But I also think that like, I'm kind of taking it somewhere a little bit more introspective. Johnny's kind of like sort of like following both of us and kind of wavering back and forth between those two things too. So Yeah, I think there's a new way to do it. Like, and like one of my favorite, like they're not new, but like a newer group that I just love is Clipping. And like Clipping is pretty much a horrorcore project. Like, it's
Okay.
like it's not your standard like boom bap like horrorcore shit, but it's very horror and it's actually terrifying to listen to some of it. So,
I was just gonna say
I
I'll
think
have to
there's
check that out, but maybe I'll just pass.
oh no, it's crazy record. And David Diggs, man, the guy's in Disney movies. He's in like Over
Wow.
the Hedge, but he's also rapping about like chopping people up, but in a cool way.
Okay.
Anyways, Clipping shows Clipping.
All right. How about like different goals, like when you're making solo music compared to when you're making music as a group, or even just different approach to it? Like, yeah, I don't know. Talk about the difference between making solo music to making as a group together.
Yeah, solo music for me is like super introspective. And like I said, like I'm very in control of what's going on with the production and stuff.
Very hands-on with all aspects of the project on your own.
All
shit.
aspects of it. This is a little more difficult for me because I have to let things go, right?
Yeah.
Which can kind of drive me a little bit crazy at times. But and then again, it's just fun to write. Like, talking about like a satanic ritual and stabbing a girl and like just weird shit that I think is hilarious for me to say.
All right, shit you wouldn't normally say on your solo projects.
No,
then, right?
no, never. Normally, like I love you, girl. You broke my heart. Not like Black Mass tonight. Stab the blade in and you scream and shout.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
Max, what about your solo? What can we expect from it coming up compared to what
Yeah.
we're getting off the Magic Show album?
Same, totally different approach, totally different vibe. But some elements of like the sort of darkness of it all kind of maybe bleed over into both. But like with Magic Show, it's like trying to create a theatrical, like entertaining, kind of spooky fucking hip hop experience, whether live or on the record. With me, my solo stuff that I'm working on, it's definitely way more introspective at times. It's definitely like looking for like good stories of people who maybe, like, I don't know, losers who don't get their stories told or whatever. So they're like characters in my songs and stuff. So like, yeah, way different vibe. And, a Magic Show, I imagine to be like at least hype to the point of like a head nod.
Right.
And like my solo stuff's like almost more of a thinker, like sometimes than a hype up. So
That makes sense.
Not always, there's different places to go, but
Of course, yeah. Is the Magic Show stuff more focused on like actual live performance stuff then? Like, did you guys write this stuff to be stuff you could perform and kind of move a crowd with or whatever?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, it's a lot hyper and it's a lot more energy with it.
Yeah.
Like when you come to see my solo stuff, like I don't really play any of my sadder low tempo songs at all. Like everything's high tempo, high energy stuff. I'd say almost all the Magic Show stuff is pretty high energy.
Hey, Mickey, when you said that you aren't used to not having complete creative control, it's making me wonder, like, so who does have complete creative control? Is it by, vote, by democratic vote, or is somebody kind of the main overseer of the Magic Show project and it's not you?
Well, I think it's just kind of everybody's just kind of getting on task with what they were good at. You know what I mean?
Okay.
But like Johnny definitely was like I would say like on the like recording process and stuff like that. Johnny did definitely the brunt of the work on that for sure.
Okay.
But like Max did a remix and he made a stop animation music video. The whole time I was getting together like the cover art and like coming up with the concept for the record and stuff like that, right?
That makes sense. Even when you mentioned like the way that he stitched together a bunch of different verses, that sounds like some RZA early Wu-Tang shit where it was like, the legend says anyways, they didn't know what order they were going to be on any of those 36 Chambers songs because RZA was putting the verses however he wanted them as an orchestra or whatever the fuck.
Yeah, pretty well. Yeah, a lot of it was like that, man.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, definitely for a couple tracks. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think like we all had an influence on like what came out in the end. Sometimes, yeah, it was, like it was kind of like everyone just kind of jumped on what they were good at, what they were drawn to. Like I was digging like movie samples and radio drama samples, and Johnny was engineering, so he had a lot of control when he was engineering, and yeah, Obi was like kind of managing the whole project and the schedule of it and all that. Yeah, so
Yeah.
we all touched on all of those, but it's kind of
So
how we divided and conquered it.
from working on like posse cuts or just being around guys, different MCs or whatever over the years, like I've kind of noticed that when MCs work together, they typically aren't going to critique each other's bars. It's like, if everybody's happy with their own verse on the posse cut, they kind of sign off on it and it sees the light of day. As a group, do you guys have a relationship where you can critique each other's actual lyrical output? Like, would you ever actually be like, yo, you could do that delivery better, or change a bar to this or whatever, make suggestions to one another?
Oh, for sure, man.
Yep.
Like, I don't see like we sat in there and it was just like going through each beat. We spit everything we had, and I think we've all been doing it so long that we know if something sounds fucking off. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't like one of my verses for the longest time, and then I sat on it and I didn't listen to it for 2 months, and I listened to it again and I loved it. So I think we would definitely be our own worst critics on everything, right? So
Right. By this point, you're all dialed in enough with your own styles that, yeah, you'll critique yourself rather than have to critique each other or whatever so much.
yeah. But if someone said something to me about something, I wouldn't be offended for sure.
Okay. Yeah. It's just, I feel like, I don't know, rap is so like ego driven or whatever that it's tough to tell an MC that bar could be a little bit different, or that delivery could be a little bit different or whatever sometimes, unless the relationship is really there, right? Like if
so like
everybody's really homies.
Where this I feel is like a lot different is that like we're all really good friends.
Yeah.
And this is like some of the only time we get to hang out together.
Yeah. That makes sense.
It's a really fun project, right?
Yeah,
and
I think.
Oh yeah, go ahead, Max. Go ahead. Yeah.
No, I was just gonna say like the few times that one of us actually said, "Yo, I think like maybe you should try this," or that might sound a little off. Like I think what I remember is like the reaction being like, "Oh yeah, yo, I was kind of feeling that, so I'm glad you brought that up." Anyways, it's just like we kind of have a sense of each other's flows, each other's kind of approach. So we've known each other for quite a long time.
Yeah, nice. Is there something to be said for strength in numbers in like, I don't know, in forming a group like this? I guess in like the marketing aspect even, or whatever. Is that a conscious thing anybody's thought about? Like, is it easier to push a project with 3 people working on it than it is to push a solo project?
I would say, yeah, for sure. But we all push each other's shit anyway, most of the time, right?
Right.
One thing it cuts down on cost. That's a big thing, right?
Right. Yeah, for sure.
I don't think that was the impetus for the project. Like we were never like, oh, if we put our forces together, we can reach more audience. We were just like, let's have fun and make a dope rap record that we think is awesome.
Yeah.
But now being in it, it's like, yeah, it is helpful.
Weird. So let's see, what else did I want to ask you guys? How about the division of like behind the scenes? Like, there's so much more to being an artist than just fucking making the actual art. As far as like figuring out how to promote it, how to book shows to go out and perform, all that type of stuff. Is that evenly divided between the 3 of you, or is there kind of a division of labor that way? How's that work?
Well, I think it's just going to go to whoever's good at what, and they'll naturally kind of gravitate towards it, right? So we have 2 shows coming up booked for a release. One in Toronto. It's a heavy show too. It's us, Swamp Thing, Word Burglar, Thesis, Roshan, and yeah, it's a pretty heavy. And then again in London on the Saturday night.
Nice,
minus
man.
work.
Yeah, that's some heavyweights on that belt. Nice.
Yeah.
How
And
about-
promotion, Max is really good at like putting together social media posts and stuff like that, right? I've reluctantly gotten good at like writing blurbs over the last little while that I sent to Thomas to edit.
Yeah.
But Max definitely kills it on the social media front.
Okay. So as far as making like what type of promotional push will you guys make for this? Will there be, you know, clips of you guys rapping on social media coming up to promote the songs and shit, or is that more solo stuff kind of?
I think we're looking at filming something when we're in Toronto. The challenge is getting three of us in the same place at one time.
Yeah.
Which has been, but we're getting better at it, I think. So
Booking shows, that probably helps, right?
yeah.
Yeah, and what we have been showing is some of the behind the scenes of the album making and the video making.
Attack of Children, sounds like.
Yeah, and there's gonna be a vinyl. It's gonna be on vinyl too, and the vinyl is like, there's another like part that I love taking this on. So it's like it's like we're the vinyl's gonna be, there's gonna be like a fold out in the vinyl, like a poster, and the download card that's on one side has the lyrics and the other side is like a Ouija board. And then the download card is going to be like the thing for the Ouija board. I forget what they call it, but like
Yeah, the thing that slides around.
Yeah, so you get a Ouija board when you buy the Magic Show Samhain record.
Shit, you do know your occult references if you know that thing has its own fucking name, man. I think everybody would just call that the slidey thing for the Ouija board.
I didn't know that either. I had no idea.
It's actually called a quintesso or something. Fucking cast a spell on us here. Okay.
Dope name for it.
I wanted to ask you guys, how come rap groups seldom last very long? What is it that breaks up rap groups?
It's a good question.
I think
Egos, money,
women, drugs.
Often with any band, it's like one person wants to take it really seriously or take it in a certain direction, and the rest don't, right? Or they're not in the place where they like can jump, like go off both feet in or whatever. So I've seen that before, you know.
Yeah, one person more committed than other people can be or are willing to be, one way or the other.
Yeah.
I think because we all have our different solo stuff and know this is just a project that, like, you know, and it was definitely different adding Johnny to the mix, right? It added a different element. And yeah, so I go into a group knowing that there's going to be things that happen in groups when you're making a group record, right?
Yeah.
For real.
Yeah. And I think we want it. Above all, we want it to be fun for us. And I think you can hear that on the record to some degree, as much as like, you know, chopping people up and doing rituals is fun.
But it's obviously a bit tough.
It's a metaphor.
I assume none of you are serial killers, you know.
On the mic.
Right.
And I think you know, we also sort of, not that it's like democratic, but we all know we come with an approach like knowing that we are all going to have a say, and like we're all going to, you know, we're not looking for like a leader necessarily,
right?
You know, no gods, no masters, you know.
And I think probably being three guys with three separate solo careers as well, pushing your own solo work has got to help in that situation, you know. Whereas I think if a group only has one guy who's trying to push his own solo work, the other guys start side-eyeing him like, this motherfucker wants all the spotlight or whatever, right? Like, whereas if everybody is branching out in their own direction, it's like, yeah, mutual push.
Me and Max kind of had this conversation the other day. It was like about how, you know, there's people that make music for different reasons and stuff, like you know, like whether they want to be famous or they want to like whatever, right?
Yeah, I've asked you those questions, Mickey. Yeah.
Yeah, like we make music because we have to,
right?
Like, you know what I mean? Like I have no other, there's no alternative for me. It's just what I do, right?
Yeah, need to do it, right? Well,
yeah.
all right, guys, so we got like 15 minutes till the hour mark. Mickey, I can't remember how important questions I asked you last time, so I came up with a couple new ones, and if I retread, so be it. You know, Max is here now; he can answer the ones that you've already answered or whatever. If you're like, why are you asking me the same shit, dude? But how important is having a hype man for a stage show? I thought, even if I had asked you this, Mickey, I feel like maybe I did ask you this and you were like, that shit's not important. I can do it solo. But now that we're talking about a group project, is a hype man good on stage? Like,
yeah, I can do it solo, but I rather, like, you know, I've been on tour with John. I've been taking Johnny on tour, and it works a lot better with a hype man. It gives me more energy to feed off of, and it gets the crowd hyper for sure.
Nice. How about you, Max? You like performing with people on stage or alone? You know,
I think for this project, like we're hyping each other all the time. So that's absolutely necessary to the energy of this group.
Yeah.
For my own stuff, like I definitely don't mind appearing on stage alone. I don't need someone to do my overdubs or whatever on stage. Like, and I think it's maybe the nature of my delivery and like my, you know, it's kind of like a guy alone, you know, and I don't know, like, it just works for that.
Sound weird with crowd vocals behind you.
I think for certain things, like, it really depends on your style, but for certain types of rap, like I think sometimes that is missed, that hype person, like at least getting that sort of gang sound on the vocals, you know.
Definitely.
But it's not always necessary. It really depends on what you're trying to do.
Nice. How important is rehearsal? Throw that one to Max first off.
Well, definitely, definitely important for this project because we have a lot of switching and stuff. But you know, we don't. You know, we've been doing this for a while too. So
if it's tough to get all of you in the same spot, I mean, I don't imagine there's much rehearsal going on, right?
Yeah. Well, that is a challenge too. But you know, it's definitely important. Like we don't want to just walk on stage and just fumble everything or just give like a low energy performance because we're so focused on trying to remember our vocals or something. You know, we want to give a good show, so we definitely do rehearse and we think about kind of what it's going to be like on stage.
Yeah, weird. How about you, Mickey? How important is rehearsal to you and your live show?
Yeah, it's totally important, man. Like I'm always like trying to figure out cool like ways to flow the set. Any little thing, any like crowd chants that I can do like at certain parts. And reworking the set, and it's key to because you know you gotta be professional, man. You don't want to go out there and fuck up, you know what I mean? And like
especially have to freestyle like half a verse.
Like you know, like maybe some people don't notice, but like I can tell when someone's fucking up, you know what I mean? Like
Can I say a controversial statement?
Of course, this is the place for it. Yeah,
the majority of rap performances are kind of boring.
I don't think that's even a controversial statement at this point, dude. You know, so many people go out there and rap over top of their own fucking pre-recorded vocals and don't have a lot of movement around the stage. I don't know. It's tough.
Yeah, I just ask, like, think about what it's going to be like live. Don't just assume it's going to transplant itself from the record to the stage and it's going to be exactly the same or whatever. Like, think about that a bit. I ask you artists, think about that.
I think too many rappers, not enough MCs, man.
Weird. I mean, the thing is though, is I also feel like, because sometimes I see like, you know, somebody at the Grammys or somebody at some like big show where it's like, oh, at the Super Bowl performance or whatever, and it's like, okay, like now it's a real show because he's got fucking fireworks and 75 backup dancers on and off stage and he's changed his clothes 4 times in the last 3 songs, like and I don't feel like you need to go all that way to make like a good rap show, you know, like to some degree, I don't know, guys who like boom bap hip hop are kind of there to stand and nod their heads, right? Like you know, so I don't know. What tips would you guys give for a live show as far as putting on a good live show?
You got to interact with the crowd.
Yeah.
I know, like, I really feel like I hit another kind of plateau in my live performance over the past couple tours, and like the crowd is saying the lyrics to some choruses and they don't even know it at the beginning of the song, right?
Yeah.
So like, you like, if you can't rock the crowd, what what are you doing there?
That's a well-written hook though too, if the crowd can remember it by the end of the song, if they've never heard it before, and by the end of it they're able to sing it back. Yeah. There's a method to that one too, for sure.
Yeah.
What about you, Max? You got any tips for the live show?
Again, yeah, I feel like again, it's all like what you're trying to do, but like I appreciate when like some like live band elements are added to shows and stuff if it's the right thing, you know. The best concert of one of my best concerts is the Roots. But I also love the approach of like Run the Jewels when they specifically like, despite getting very popular, just kept sticking with the DJ and the two MCs in the front. So
yeah,
I think, it can go both ways. I think, yeah, just like think about what it's going to be like on stage. Like you can tell, like, for example, I'm talking about the Roots as one of my favorite concerts.
I've seen them live too.
Thought
one
about
of the best shows
what they're going to do
too.
on stage. Like it's very calculated in a lot of ways. There's spontaneity and improvisation too.
Yeah.
And I think that dynamic makes it super, super special, right?
For real.
But you don't have to be the Roots. You don't have to be the Roots to employ that kind of approach.
Yeah.
Imagine a Magic show, full satanic Super Bowl halftime show.
I mean, yeah, hoods and hooded candle people everywhere. Fuck yeah,
oh yeah, man.
See if you
Virgins getting slaughtered.
Call the demon right out. Okay, back to these how important questions. How important is sound check? You guys do sound checks?
Depends on what's going on. Do you have a sound? In most cases, if you have a sound man for the night and your disc turntables and a microphone,
yeah,
and you have like, I would say whatever sound equipment there is more important than sound check itself. And I don't know, man. Maybe I'm just saying that because I've been headlining a lot lately.
Well, I was just gonna say it's an interesting one because some guys show up and some guys just duck sound check completely, right?
Yeah.
I'll say this: it's important that somebody checks everything, just to make sure it's coming through, right?
Right. The sound man can jump on and mic check. Yeah.
Get the DJ. Just make sure everything's straight. Make sure everything's tight.
Yeah.
We did have an incident at like my album release show in Sudbury, where like the sound person heard it was just a hip hop show. So they like showed up super late and all this. And like, yeah, it was a hip hop show, but I had the Fresh Kills trio. So I had a guy with a trumpet and a keyboard.
Yeah.
And then Danny Miles played and he had like a projector and his drum set and like all this other shit, right? So they were pretty overwhelmed when they got there late.
Fair enough. So maybe a good sound man or somebody, sound engineer, whatever you call them, working the soundboard is better than sound check if you have a bad sound man anyways, right?
Yeah. Oh, that can ruin a show, man.
Yeah, for real. About how important is being friends with the people you're making music with?
Super important. I don't know. It's like, I think the Magic Show project is really like the only time a lot of us, me, Johnny, and Max get to hang out. So it's like, and as you get older, you don't really go and hang out with anybody, right? So
yeah, they say adult males lose friends faster than fucking any other group of people or whatever. Just hang out alone.
Yeah, no, well, it's true. So like, yeah, I'm like, in one sense, I'm really happy I got this project because like, it's the time I get to hang out with my two bros, right? So
yeah, for real.
Yeah, I mean, I still got a lot of music to come, but I don't really, like, for the most part, I don't really collaborate with people. I don't at least have like, if it's not a friendship, then it's like a musical affinity or something that's really strong where we
you're a fan of the music at least.
Yeah, we're part of some like online community or something like that, you know what I mean? So
yeah,
most of my friends are people I work with.
Yeah, I think that's for everybody, man. I mean, where do you meet people other than work, right? And on the music scene, I guess sometimes that can happen, but yeah. How about how important is physical fitness for an artist?
Yeah, for an artist, I'd say like it's just huge in general for everybody. But I noticed like I have these like spouts where like I go do like CrossFit stuff, right? And I'll have like I have a bad habit of like going on tour and just completely getting out of it. Then it takes me like a month or so to get back into it. But it's key when you get back from tour to hit that right away because it fights off depression and stuff like that, right?
Right.
Exercising is huge just in general, even though I suck at it sometimes, but
Yeah, it's easy to come back from tour and hit a slump. I think you talked about this actually last time I talked to you too, right? That
yeah.
after all that rush of being on tour, yeah, suddenly not as much dopamine in the life getting home. Or
Yeah,
whatever.
being 3,000, 4,000 feet underground in the mine and being like, fuck, my life sucks.
Yeah, God. Do you other guys work in the mine? Is that the only thing there is to do in Sudbury, or what do you do, Max? Are you out there in the mine?
No, I work for the Ontario Public Service.
Oh, okay. Word.
Yeah.
How about physical fitness? You got anything to weigh in on that one for an artist?
I'm not like a super fit person. I still got to figure that one out a little bit, but I think just like small things make a huge difference in like my creative productivity, like eating well, getting enough sleep, just going for like a little walk once a day, stuff like that makes like a massive difference for me. So
yeah,
I think, that's a small part of physical fitness, but it's such an important part,
It's that part of it though. Those answers are both why I ask that question to people, because I think people can take that one any direction that they want to take it and talk about various different aspects or sobriety or fucking quitting smoking for lung capacity or whatever else, right?
Yeah, like I would hope that when we get in the stew, like we're all have some energy and we can like we're ready to work. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah. This one I don't think I was asking last time I talked to you, Mickey, but how important is finding or having the right romantic partner for an artist specifically?
Oh fuck! Do you know any girls that are?
Well, what are your interests?
I think it's that's definitely key for sure, man. Like, I've been in relationships where like someone doesn't have something going on, you know what I mean? So they get jealous that you have something going on. Or like they feel like they're in competition with you, which is fucking stupid. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And being an artist is like, it's difficult, man. Like I can't. I can picture from like the outside if someone wasn't an artist and then having to be around me and being like, well, I have to do this. Like, you know what I mean? Like, so it's super important. Like,
not everybody understands an artist's motivation to do it, right? Or drive to do it at all.
No, and like it can get messy if like, how many people quit music because they find a girl and I don't know, man. It's that's super important, man.
I mean, a lot of people meet a girl, have a couple kids, and then they stop making music. Transition to Max Moon, who has
never
kids in the background.
Yeah.
How about the romantic partner, though? You would agree? Important
no.
or
no go? It's a weird time I left to answer this question, but yeah, I mean, I guess what's important is like having someone who understands that like this is something you got to do and how important this creative thing is to your life and to your mental health. Because it's never quite worked out when that didn't click, So
fair enough, man.
That's important.
Yeah.
Or you could be one of those cringy couples that makes music together.
Yeah, you probably don't want to do that. Don't do that. It's funny, like listening to all the independent hip hop that I do every week. There's the odd song where you hear like some R&B singer singing a hook on the track, and like I go, click to see who this lady is, and it's the only song she's got on Spotify, and I'm just like, this was a rapper trying to get laid. This was a guy who had some girl who said that she could sing, and he put her on the song. And I think a lot of people have been in that situation before, but it's funny to me every week, like hearing it happen in real time.
It's true. You can kind of tell.
I hope they got laid, man.
Yeah, right. I hope it worked out for them. Yeah. How about physical location? How important is physical location for an artist? You guys out in Sudbury?
Well, I think for us, like a lot of what we do, like to a smaller degree in Magic Show, but certainly in all of our solo material, like we're trying to represent like what it's like here, what the culture is like here, what hip hop is like here, what living here is like, what
Yeah.
grinding and whatever work and suffering is, all that's like. So that's huge in all of our music for sure. And then I don't know, just like geographic location, like in terms of like being creative, like matters huge to me. Like, going out in nature to write and stuff like that. I love that kind of thing.
Yeah, that's a cool spin to put on that, man. Most people talk about like, moving to Toronto to find a bigger market or whatever, but I like that location can be important just to spur creativity too or whatever. I agree 100%.
Yeah, we're pretty camped here, and I think we're pretty dedicated to like just being here and doing our thing. I don't know, unless they're making the jump to GTA anytime soon, but I think we're proud of that we're artists living and creating and working here and continuing to cultivate our scene,
Well, and it's close enough that when you want to play a show in Toronto, you can, right? Like you're not that far off.
Sudbury's cool because like I'm like a 3 to 8 hour drive or plane ride from anywhere I want to be. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and I don't know, like Toronto's not far. Like, especially if you're a touring musician, like it's just everything's just a circuit for you. So like it could be it's easy to get around, man.
Mickey, do you play more often in Toronto than you do in Sudbury?
Yeah,
Thomas
sure.
just said you probably do.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, I would believe it. Okay, last one of these. How important? Because it just randomly popped into my mind before we started this up. But how important is cover art for an album?
Oh, huge.
Yeah.
Nowadays, because of the coolest thing that happened with streaming is it brought physical product back into existence, right? And I love putting together like
wait, explain that, Mickey. What do you mean it brought physical product back into existence? It did?
Well, like vinyl's huger than it ever has been, right?
Okay.
Well,
you can't say streaming did that. It was like sort of the absence of something that streaming didn't offer.
Right.
Well, okay, well let's call it that because everyone is.
That's what I would say.
Okay.
To make it so like if someone's gonna buy something, that you have to put in that extra work. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like we always make sure that like we have like cool artwork. The vinyl looks cool. You know what I mean? We try to throw in a splatter or like the Magic Show vinyl comes with a Ouija board, and I think it's gonna be white with black and yellow splatter on it.
Dope.
The CDs for the postcards record, it came in like a clear package with 6 different postcards in it, one to represent each song in a CD.
Were they actually postcards you collected from places, or what? Did somebody design the postcards?
Ghetto Socks designed the postcards. Shout out to Ghetto Socks. Shout out to Meyer Clarity for designing the Magic Show record too. I think it's so cool to have to have just focus on like a physical product and like the places you can go with it. And like I love coming up with a theme for a project and just throwing everything together.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah, it's weird. Like I think there was a dip there. Like for a while, it seemed like album art was only viewed in a tiny thumbnail at the bottom of your screen, and like it was becoming not that important. But then, I think a lot of streaming services started to feature it more, and then vinyl came back in a big way, and now it is important because they don't. Now it's like kind of expected. Oh, it's just black vinyl. Like you don't got that. Like you don't got that glitter. You don't got that splatter. You don't got that.
It's not even a map of the Toronto subway system. Come on.
People are just like continually doing crazy stuff. Like like look at like Mac Homie or whatever. Like he's selling his like limited amounts of his vinyl for like thousands each or something.
Yeah.
Like really crazy designs.
Super
like,
exclusives.
Artists are trying different things, and I think it's cool. And album art's a big part of that, because I think that was like the golden age of album artwork was like the 70s and early 80s, like with the albums and the big fold out, and you like experience it. So that's back now, and that's cool.
Yeah, hell yeah. Just randomly, either of you, is there any album art that springs to mind as like your favorite album art from some album that you can think of? I'd say Liquid Swords, personally. The Liquid Swords cover art is dope.
The first record I ever bought was the Twisted Sister record, and it had this thing on the front of the vinyl where you could like lift up this manhole, and it was like D. Schneider all covered like
coming out of the manhole or what? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, dude. It was like it would like prop up, like, you know, like pop up or whatever.
Dope.
I have a Slick Rick vinyl for the Great Adventures of Slick Rick that comes with like a book about the making of it and an eye patch and a whole bunch of other cool shit.
With an eye patch, that's dope. Not the diamond covered one though. Well,
no.
Yeah. Max, anything come to mind for you? I feel like you're Googling something right now.
I am.
You're like, let me look it up.
Dope album artwork. I mean, I don't know. I'm trying to think of something. I mean, I love the cover of To Pimp a Butterfly. That's a crazy artwork on that. Yep. The photo.
Right on, guys. I appreciate you guys talking
more.
to me.
I'm going to drop it in the Twitch.
Oh, yeah. Let us know.
This is a more humorous one. A record that my parents had that I just always loved. Oh, it won't let me link it. I'll find another one. Anyways, album artwork's dope.
Okay, yeah, weird. Okay, so to wrap this thing up, I always ask everybody, can you describe your local hip-hop scene? And I've asked Mickey this twice already, so let's start with Max and get your take on the Sudbury hip-hop scene. Or if you want to talk, you know, wider and just do like the GTA area or whatever the fuck you want to talk about. Just talk about the local hip-hop scene. Give me a brief rundown of what you think of it.
Yeah, I mean, as far as Sudbury goes, like I would say on one level it's kind of fragmented, you know, as it can be in different places. In some ways, it's I think the artists that we respect and that we, you know, collaborate with around town are those who are trying to like, you know, really take where we're from and like use that in the music and the culture, you know, and not just transplant something from somewhere else to where we are. So that's kind of like where I hope to see our scene go further. And as far as like the GTA Ontario scene in general, like pretty live, man. Like, yeah, the underground scene in Ontario is so diverse. Like there's a lot going on, and you just it's a shame that more people don't know about it. I think, you know, those who know. And yeah, so just continue to share good music with people and put people on to dope shit.
Hell yes. Mickey, you got anything to add to that about local hip hop?
The Sudbury hip hop scene's a lot like every other hip hop scene in Canada, where it's Robbie G playing your city 3 times a month with some shitty artists that you don't want to fucking see.
Right.
And
Robbie G has a way of finding artists in every city.
About 8 openers that can't even rap, and if they do, they rap over their vocals.
I was just gonna say, I don't know where he finds these guys in every different city he goes to, but it's always, I see those bills, and sometimes I recognize 1 or 2 people that are like artists I play for Magick, but a lot of the time I'm just like, who, and who now? Like, what the fuck? But yeah.
And then there's real motherfuckers.
Fair. Yeah, there's a lot of real motherfuckers clear across the country too. I can vouch that they're out there.
100%, 100%.
Bunch of dope artists out there getting slept on. Speaking of which, and again, I've asked Mickey this several times now, so Max, we'll toss this one to you. Can you name some other artists from your scene who people should be up on? You were a recommendation when I talked to Mickey last time, I think.
Oh, thanks, buddy. Yeah. Artists from our scene, yeah, Johnny Business for sure. If people aren't familiar with Johnny Business's material, you know, definitely Fresh Clills, who we collaborate with a lot. Ghetto Socks, one of my favorite lyricists in the country for sure.
Hell yeah.
Raz Fresco is a dope artist out of the GTA who's making waves lately. Really recommend
One of
people
my
getting onto
favorites
him.
for sure. Yeah. Dude's
For
very dope.
sure. So much good stuff. Just check out the Hand Solo Records page. That's a good place to start.
Yeah, right on, man.
Bandcamp.
Mickey, you got any shouts to give to anybody? Carry on from there.
Yeah, yo, Roshan, Clarity.
Oh, Roshan for sure.
Yeah, Meyer Clarity, yeah.
Who else, man? I meet so many dope people on tour, man. Like this dude named Albert Dalton out of Newfoundland, St. John's. He's super dope. And
I feel like I just hit follow on that guy like a couple weeks ago, maybe. Yeah, just tapped in.
he does some really cool stuff, man. Like it's different. It's kind of like alternative hip hop, I guess. But
yeah, nice.
He's got some cool stuff for sure.
Plans for tours or shows coming up that we can tell people to look out for?
25th of October in Toronto. It was supposed to be at Sneaky D's, but it's getting moved to a different location. I will have that location hopefully within the next 24 hours. And that shows with us, Swamp Thing, Word Burglar, Thesis, Rosmo, and Kid Lithium. And then the next day in London, us and Swamp Thing, Thesis, Roshan, and Rosmo and Kid Lithium.
Damn. Somebody hit the DJ air horn. Those fucking lineups are insane, man. Right? Max, anything else to plug? Any other shows or anything like that that you have coming up other than those ones?
Nothing at the moment, just grinding in the studio.
I mean, yeah, you're on those shows that Mickey just mentioned, so unless you had some
I'm heading back out on the road.
Yeah.
I'm heading back out on the road again at the end of January.
Nice.
And I got 4 dates in Japan and about 8 dates, I think, in Australia booked.
Damn. So are you hitting up the same venues you tapped in with before, or how's that
the
looking?
same one in Osaka and Kyoto. We're playing someplace I can't pronounce in between that.
I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah, that makes sense.
And then I got a Tokyo gig this time. I didn't have a Tokyo gig last time, so I'm super excited about that.
Dope.
And I'm trying to get a gig in Bangkok right now because I'm going to go hang out in Thailand for a week. So,
can I ask you real quick just what it's like performing to a crowd in Japan? Like, does anybody speak English? How many people speak English at the show? Like,
a few, but like hip hop is like a universal language of love, bro. So everyone, I think, if you hear someone with a dope flow and I can't understand what they're saying,
yeah,
the flow is there, right? And it's a trip listening to Japanese hip hop, man. Like some of these guys are crazy, man.
Dope. So you were doing shows with other Japanese hip hop acts.
Oh yeah, for sure. I was like the only person that couldn't speak English that only spoke English at most shows.
More or less nerve-wracking performing in that situation than it is compared to performing in front of like if you're just gonna go perform in Lethbridge or wherever the fuck else in front of a bunch of people who don't know you but can speak English.
It was my first overseas thing that I ever did. So like a lot of the times it was just like I had to pinch myself, just being like, okay, bro, you're in Japan, everything like this is actually happening,
Yeah.
And it's like you're playing these little dungeon bars, man, like rap dungeons. It was just so cool.
Dope.
Like just off some side street. Japan is like a different planet. I love it there, man. I'm excited to go back.
Yeah, man, that's cool that you get to go back. Guys, I appreciate your time. I guess before I let you go, where can people find you online to hit follow on socials or whatever? What do you use most?
Or Body Music on Instagram. Search Mickey O'Brien on Facebook. Max?
Oh. Muted for a second there, Max.
He's doing the karate movie thing here.
Sorry, I unmuted the Twitch instead. Max Moon Unit on Instagram is probably the best place to follow me for my music. I just dropped a a bunch of Magic Show links in the chat. Magic Show Raps is our handle on basically everything for Magic Show, but IG is where we post the most. So
Right on.
check it out.
All right, guys. Well, Max, it was a pleasure to meet you. Mickey, glad that we got a chance to talk again. Thanks, both of you, for doing this. And next time we'll have to get Johnny Business in on it because,
Yeah.
you know, might as well have him for all three of you here for Magic Show. People should check out. Tell me again how I'm supposed to say that word.
Samhain.
Samhain. Okay. People should check out Samhain. I'm going to yell it on Atsic one of these days too. And I'll probably have to come back and rewatch this chunk of this interview to figure out what the fuck I'm supposed to say again. But yeah, it comes out October 25th and it's spelled like Sam Hain. I don't know if anybody's looking to punch that into Google or whatever. That's how you're going to find that. But yeah, guys, this was fun. Appreciate y'all.
Yo, thank you. Again, thanks for all you do, brother.
Yeah, thanks for what you do for the culture and the music, brother.
Hey,
Peace.
love and respect. Peace, guys. All right, everybody. Thanks for hanging out in chat. A little bit over an hour on this one. It was good catching up with Mickey and talking about the upcoming project. And good to meet Max Moon. Definitely dope artists who people should be checking out. Shouts to Sudbury. Shouts to Johnny Business. Shouts to Thomas from Han Solo Records. That's where that album's gonna drop, over on Han Solo Records. Appreciate people coming through talking. Next week I am talking to Brampton-based artist Spitty. So that's October 22nd, and it's going to be an early one. I'm talking to him at 3 in the afternoon, my time. So Toronto time will be 5 o'clock dinner time. But looking forward to that. Week after that, I'm talking to S. He has a new album out with Shark. I don't know. We didn't actually figure out whether I'm going to talk to Shark and S about that album or if it's just going to be S, but I'm definitely talking to S on October 29th. I'm looking into November. I think I'll probably do a couple more of these interviews through November, maybe the first couple of weeks. And then the last couple of weeks of November will probably be done for the season and start things back up, I think, in 2025 for January. But we'll keep doing After the Smoke is Clear. That's the name of the mix show. If you made it this far, you likely already know I do the weekly mix show at Sick After the Smoke is Clear. This week, Dice sent me over really dope boom bap mix made up of new release music. Some of it's from just like, 4 days ago, brand new releases. Mixcloud.com/Doobyis is where you can find that. And this interview, the audio format will be pinned over at mixcloud.com/Doobyis to the upcoming, I think it's going to be season 5, episode 34 of After the Smoke is Clear. So people should definitely tap in, find that. Doobyis.com is the hub for everything that I do. Once again, appreciate y'all a lot. Peace.